Today's homework video is that we are going to be finding the volume of composed figures. Alright, so let's go over some of our vocabulary. First we have volume. Remember that volume is how much of something can fit inside of a shape. Our formula for volume is length times width times height. Sometimes we also call length times width the base. So if you see base times height, also know that that is another formula for volume. Okay, 3D, those are the types of shapes that we find the volume on, three-dimensional shapes. Rectangular prisms, it's kind of like a cube, but in a rectangle. And then our formula for volume. And then a composed figure. A composed figure is what we're going to move into this week. A composed figure, if we just take that word compose, we know that compose means that it is made up of. So if it's a composed figure, what it is two different figures put together to make up a new shape. Okay, so first of all, let's just do a quick review of volume. So we just said that volume is length times width times height. So pause this video quickly, review and refresh yourself on how to find the volume of this cube, and then replay the video to check your answer. Alright, hopefully you figured this one out. If you look here, the volume of this cube is 64 millimeters cubed. We know that 4 times 4 times 4 is going to give us the volume, length times width times height. 4 times 4 is 16, and 16 times 4 is 64. Alright, so let's look at a composed figure. A composed figure is just two shapes combined to make one. Remember, composed means made up of. So two different shapes composed to make one figure. There is a length, a width, and a height for all of these figures. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to try to figure out what the volume is of both of these figures and then add them together. Because remember, it's one shape plus another shape. Alright, so let's think about this for a second. I have this shape here, and I can tell that it kind of looks like two rectangular prisms just added together right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find the volume of both of those shapes and then add them together. Alright. First of all, I need to find, remember, because volume is length times width times height, I need to find the length, width, and height for both of those different shapes. I'm going to call this one shape A, and I'm going to call this one shape B. So first of all, I'm going to start with shape A. And so for shape A, the length is 4 meters. The width is 1 meter. And the height is 8 meters. Okay, so to find the volume, I have to multiply all those together. 4 times 1 times 8. So I know that 4 times 8 is 32 times 1 still gives me 32. So the volume of A is 32 meters cubed. Now let's look at shape B. Okay, so I know that the length, let me do it in a different color here. The length of shape B is right here. This is 2. It is 2 meters. Length is 2 meters. The width is up here. It is 4 meters. And the height, even though it doesn't tell me the height on either of these, I can assume that because this side is the same length as this side, they're the same length, that the length or the height for side B or shape B is going to be the same thing. It's going to be that 8 meters. And so an important thing to remember is that even if you thought that maybe the width was 2 meters or the length was 4 meters by looking at this shape, it's okay. If you have these in a different order than what I did, it does not matter, because remember that commutative property of multiplication says if we're multiplying them all together, it doesn't matter what order we put them in, we're always going to get the same answer. So it's okay if you think that 2 is the width and 4 is the length or the height. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so let's multiply all those together. 2 times 4 times 8. Well, 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64. So the volume of shape B is 64 meters cubed. So right now I have 32 meters cubed and 64 meters cubed. I'm going to add those together. So I get 98 total meters cubed, and that's what the volume is for my entire composed figure. Alright, so let's talk about how we would find the volume of this composed shape. First of all, what we would need to do is we would need to divide this shape into two different figures in order to get a shape A and a shape B, so that we could find the volume of both of those and then add it together. So the first way that we're going to divide this shape is we're going to take our line here and we're going to divide it straight down here. So we're making two different shapes. We have a shape A and a shape B, or whichever way you'd like to do that. Okay? And now that we have divided this, some of these measurements here are not going to stay the same. So we've made it a little bit more differently now, and we have to think about what our measurements look like. For example, we have right here, okay? This line right here, we don't know the full measurement of. We know what from here to here the measurement is, but how do you think we could figure out the measurement of this entire length right here? One way that you could do this is because from here to here we know that this is 4 centimeters. And if we know that from here to here, we look across all the way to here, this length is 2 centimeters here. Here and here, that is the same length. So we also could say that this length right here is 2 centimeters. So now thinking about the whole length, if this part is 4 centimeters and this part is 2 centimeters, how many centimeters would that whole piece be? The whole piece would be 6 centimeters. So that means that our length here and here, that is a 6 centimeter length. So now that we know that, let's try to find our volume. Volume is length times width times height. I'm going to call this shape A and this shape B. So let's find the volume of shape A first. Okay, so the length of shape A. Alright, so let's look at this really quickly. The length is right here. But if we cut this part off and all of this becomes shape B, does this part really belong to shape A? No, it doesn't. It gets cut off right here. So we have to figure out, it's not really 7 centimeters because that's how long the whole thing is. We have to figure out how much is right here that we can subtract from 7 centimeters. Well, if you noticed, this length, and this length are all the same, and that is all 2 centimeters. So if I know that this part right here is 2 centimeters, and the whole thing was 7 centimeters, if I subtract this amount from 7 centimeters, I can get how much only just this part is. So 7 minus 2 is 5, so I know that from here to here, that is 5 centimeters. So now we can find our volume. Looking at shape A, my length is 5 centimeters. Oops. My width, right here, it is 3 centimeters. And my height is 2 centimeters. So I'll multiply all those together. 5 times 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 6 is 30 centimeters cubed. Let's move on to shape B. I know that my length of shape B is 2 centimeters. My width of shape B is right here. Now if I'm looking on here, it doesn't exactly tell me what my width is, but I can tell that the width here is the same as the width here, here, and here. They're all the same length. So if the width for this, for shape A, was 3 centimeters, I know the same thing is going to be for B. So width is 3 centimeters. And finally, we know that the height of shape B is this whole section right here, and we found that out that that was 6 centimeters. So let's multiply 2 times 3 times 6. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 6 is 36. So if we add both of those together, 30 and 36, we know that our volume, 30 plus 36, gives us 66. Our volume is 66 centimeters cubed. That's what the total volume is for this composed figure. Alright, so this is the same exact shape as the last one we solved, but I want to point out the fact that we could have divided this shape in a completely different way and still have gotten the same answer. So let's think for a second. If last time we split the shapes right here, we also could have split the shapes across right here so that we could make a shape A right here and a shape B right here. Okay, so we're actually going to go through this and we're going to do the same thing for this one, shape A and shape B, and figure out the lengths, the widths, and the height. So first of all, for shape A, the length is this area right here. I need to know how long the shape is. Well, it tells me right here that my length is 2 centimeters. So that means that here and here it is also the same, 2 centimeters. So my length is 2 centimeters for shape A. My width is this area right here. And remember we said that the width here, 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 and here is all the same. So my width would be 3 centimeters. And my height is how tall it is here and here. And I already know that one. That one is 4 centimeters. Okay, so let's multiply all those together. 2 times 3 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 times 4 is 24 centimeters cubed. Now let's move on to B. I know that my length for B is this whole area right here. This whole area is 7 centimeters. My width for shape B is right here. It also could be here. Remember, our width for the whole shape is the same. It is 3 centimeters. And my height is 2 centimeters here. So let's multiply all those together. 7 times 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, and 7 times 6 is 42. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our 24 and our 42, add our two volumes together. 24 plus 42 is 66, and surprise, surprise, we get the same volume, 66 centimeters cubed, as last time. So it really doesn't matter what way you cut the shape, as long as you cut it into 2 equal shapes and you solve to find your missing units before you try to solve length times width times height. Okay, so let's practice cutting this composed figure into two different figures, and then I'll give you a chance to pause the video and find the volume. So first of all, looks like we have a cube, and then we have a rectangular prism. So the way that I would cut this is that I would cut a little line right there to make a shape A and a shape B. So go ahead and pause the video after you've figured out the length, width, and height of shape A and B, and then replay the video and we will go over how to solve. Alright, so let's go over this. First of all, we know that for shape A, we're looking here, our length is 5, our width is 2, and our height is 7. So 5 times 2 times 7 will give us our volume. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 7 is 70. Moving on to shape B, our length is 15, our width is 2, and our height is 7. So 15 times 2 times 7. 15 times 2 is 30, and 30 times 7 is 210. So if we add both of those together, 210 plus 70, we get 280. So the volume for the shape is 280 inches cubed. Alright, this will be the last one. Go ahead and solve for volume on this composed figure. Okay, hopefully you solved this one. Let's go over it together. I split this into shape A and B. If you did it the opposite way, that's totally fine too. So for shape A here, I have the length as 10 centimeters. We have the width as 2 centimeters. We have the height as right here. It's the same as the height here, so that is 7 centimeters. So 10 times 2 times 7. 10 times 2 is 20, times 7 is 140. And then for shape B, I have the length here as 2. I have the width here as 7, and the height is 4. And it's okay if you did the length and the width opposite because it still amounts to the same thing. So 2 times 4 times 7 will give me the volume. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 7 is 56. And then I add those together, 140 plus 56, I get 196. So the volume of this shape is 196 centimeters cubed. Alright, congratulations! It is now time for your quiz. Please go to Canvas to take your quiz on composed figures, and don't forget your formula for volume.